Okay, it's Dave here from Amplify, and I'm talking to an interesting cat, a man called Makua Rothman, and he comes from Hawaii. And if this was a surfing podcast, you'd know him. From a music point of view, you may not yet, or you may not, have heard of him or what have you. So it's an interesting bridge that we're going to cross here. How are you, Makua?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. I
No,
appreciate it.
no problem at all, man. Okay, so did you always want to be a music artist? Like obviously you've crossed a few bridges over your time. Was music always a part of it? Like when you were young as a kid, like most people, that most musos, they start as kids and they get together with mates and they build bands and they just go on this music career. Was that part of your journey or did you come to music later?
Music's always been part of my life because it's part of my culture. Once upon a time in Hawaii, we communicated through song and dance. So here in Hawaii, music is just rooted in our veins. It's something that gives us identity. It's something that gives us a platform to share our stories of who we are and where we come from. And the stories that are passed down from generation to generation really come from sharing them through music. So that being said, my grandmother, her grandmother, their grandmother, my mother, they were all Hawaiian musicians and dancers. So I wasn't really the dancing type back then. So I had the ukulele in the back and I just figured I sing. I didn't want to be out there doing all the dances. And lo and behold, my grandma's sister has the biggest Polynesian dance entity in Hawaii, Tehatis. And my mother, her sisters, many Hawaiian artists, especially nowadays, have gone through their program and played or danced for them at one point in time. So yes, music has always been a part of my life. Have choosing it as a career, that's a whole different story.
There you go. So music's been a part. What about the songwriting? When did the songwriting bug hit? When did you start thinking about writing, your own songs, your own stuff?
Songwriting part really hit after a big injury. It was a part of my healing more than choosing songwriting. It was a way for me to let out the pain and the self-induced suffering that was created by this guy you see here on the screen, and not blaming anybody else for it. And it comes out in the form of songs, writing. So, this time around, songwriting really was a healing process, and it was part of a do or die situation for me, really.
And how long? 10 years ago you were world champ. At what stage did that injury occur, and you sort of started writing?
10 years ago, I was world champion, and it got to me head, as they would say down under. And I started, doing things that wasn't positive for my life and my career, and ended up um, resulting in a very bad knee injury in 2023. And ever since that day, that was the starting point of my journey back to Makua Rothman, and really having to be present, like we're talking about, because it was either that or lose everything, and everything was going. So music and the songwriting is really that's really what it's about.
2023 is like it's the only way to yourself is through the desert. Everyone's got to go through the desert because we're in this human sort of existence where we get brought up by kids and we're part of a conditioning, and there's a whole greedy world trying to take us down a path to sell us stuff. And so we've got to go through the desert. So that period is, in my view, is your 5, 6, 7 to 8. And a lot of people go back to the comfort of four.
Turn that off, please.
So getting through it is pretty cool. So tell us a little bit about the journey then, because basically, that's probably a podcast in itself just to listen to it takes a lot to become a world champ. Obviously, a lot of discipline and a lot of hard work, and then
Yep.
and then like you say, most people when they achieve stuff have to deal with the ego of it because basically
Hmm.
they think that this is what life is, what your title is, and then you go through. So what's that been like? Working through that whole process of water and then music.
Well, it's crazy because, once upon a time, like you said, it was all about me. It was all about my ego, who I could be, the titles I could gain, things that I thought mattered, which only mattered really to other people. And this time around, like I say, it's what can I create? What kind of personal growth? And not about what others think, but what can I prove to myself? How can I inspire myself to be better than I was yesterday? And I think that in by doing so, I can share with a lot of other people who may be struggling, maybe been through those
Absolutely.
hard times, or maybe be, stuck there. Never mind trying to write a hit song. What about hitting a goal, telling my story? Not
Yeah.
singing for the people, but singing with the people.
Yeah.
It's just an extension of trying to be a better human being. Because all of those titles and all that stuff, that can be taken away. Everything physical
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Things that I can achieve inside, that self-respect, self-governance, that real discipline like we're talking about, that's what matters to me. And if I can help one person and they can help another person and that goes on, that can live forever. Those titles will be forgotten, but that mindset and that positive energy that may be translated to this platform we call music
Yeah.
could live on for a long time, and that makes me happy.
I don't think personally, I don't think we grow, and personally, I don't think there is a good or bad or whatever. I think that we're born with total knowledge, and through the course of our life, we discover what we already knew. And so, in that leadership that you're talking about, you're leading now, and you have a responsibility to lead people with what you have. And so,
Hmm.
when you give that and you lead them, it's like you're a torch, and you shine a light when they're in the dark. And I think that's a pretty cool thing. How would you describe your sound? How would you describe your music for people here that might not have heard?
It's raw. It's, kind of like that ocean wave, kind of like those big waves. It's not perfect, and it's not trying to be. It's trying to be real. It's trying to tell my story. And I'm not chasing perfection. I just want to be me. I want, you know, real things aren't always perfect, and
And
it's okay. People need to know that. But what is for real is the energy that I bring.
sure.
My 100% all in will be there. And I think that creates for an awesome time, awesome energy. And I just want to create a place where people feel like family.
What sort of genre though? What's the music? If someone was sort of
It's
saying,
punk, it's rock, it's alternative.
okay, punk rock. Okay, now you've got your latest single, "Catch a Wave," which I've got no idea where you got that title from. Uh, with Aaron Bruno has just been released. What's that all about?
Well, I that came about, I got blessed to go on tour and open for AWOL Nation.
Yes.
And Aaron's an avid surfer as well. And so we got on well, and he had written a song partially, it wasn't done yet. It was a great, beautiful idea, melody and all that stuff. And he said, I wrote this song. The basis of it was when I almost lost, or he was going to the beach and he didn't make it in time before. Let me answer this question 1 second. Hold on.
No problem.
This is recorded. I could fix it. But yeah, so I was on tour with AWOL Nation, and Aaron Bruno, like I said, is a very avid surfer. And he just thought the vibe and what we were doing, what we were creating at Villains for Good, our record label, was something he wanted to be a part of. And he said, I wrote a song, you know, about someone who passed away, and it's not done yet, but I would like to show it to you and see if we could work together on it to finish it and bring it into the world. And he thought with the surfing background, and it was, he didn't make it to the beach in time to surf with his friend, that had unfortunately passed by the time he got there, drowned. And we thought, hey, why not, you know, build this song and finish it and dedicate it to all the watermen that came before us. It had
Sure.
that same vibe, a lot of people that helped shape the culture and the music that we're in today, that punk rock style music. And so we thought it'd be a perfect fit for us to do it together. And now we're here today with Catch a Wave, and it's really dedicated to all the watermen and women that came before us that are no longer here, that help shape that culture. We want to keep their memories alive.
For people, for people that, and I've never surfed myself, but I understand what surfing is. And for people that have surfed, they probably realize that it's more a religion than an activity. It's a spiritual sort of thing, and that's why people are drawn to it so much and are drawn to the water. It's very primal. It's very grounded, and so it's a cool thing to have you come from 2023 to now, because it's basically you're putting that spirituality which you have already had all your life into practice with your music. So it's pretty cool. You've got a new
It's
album on the drawing.
bringing the aloha to the world.
That's it. You've got a new album coming out at the end of the year. What's that all about?
It's it's an awesome project. It's been a amazing learning experience, finding a sound, my own sound, something that's authentic to me, the way I feel, the energy that I have when I go on the stage or wherever I am in this world. I'm always upbeat, I'm always fun. And I didn't really get to show that a lot. I always had to be this tough guy and fight and this culture that I was brought up in. It didn't really let me shine my true self through. And I think that the music is giving me that platform to bring that energy and that aloha in a way that I could, resonate with a lot of people. And so
Was it
this
hard?
album's awesome learning experience, writing and really fine-tuning a sound that's authentic to me and the way that I live.
Was it hard, or did the song sort of flow, or was it this, because you haven't been doing it for a long time? Was it sort of natural, or did you have to sort of work pretty hard to pull all the songs out?
Well, I worked hard because I wrote a bunch of singles that came out, and it was, some songs I'd like to play live, and some I was like, okay, I gotta play this song again. And when I really understood tempo, when I really understood the energy that the song brings, and my producer, really challenging me, are you gonna do the lay by the bay as you may, or are you gonna say something that actually matters?
Yeah,
And so it was not easy by any means. It was a learning process, but it was awesome. It's one of the most awesome things I've ever been able to do because I've learned so much about myself through this process, who I really am and what clear message I want to send through the world. I have a responsibility with that microphone on that stage, traveling around the world, not just to say something that matters, to represent myself, my people, my family, my team, everybody that puts their hard work into creating this band and all the processes that go into it. The album really taught me a lot of humility and a lot of gratuity to those whose hands have helped bless this project.
yeah, which is good. Have you found it difficult for people to see you as a muso rather than a world champ? Because basically, it's a bit like being typecast in a sitcom and then trying to act in other roles. People, if you're famous for something, it's hard for them to see you as something different. Have you found that at all?
Yeah, it's definitely been challenging, humbling myself to opinions of others, but that's all right because I'm not here to be liked, and I'm just here to create Ohana. I'm here to create a space where all labels and titles are left at the door and we're in there to have a good
That's
time. And hopefully people leave feeling inspired to believe in themselves more, to really chase their goals,
sure.
to
It's
speak their mind. Whatever they believe in, do it full on. Don't go halfway,
It's a bit
you
harder
know?
to be the world champ in music because it's not like something that you can get stronger and, get faster and all this sort of stuff. You've got to rely on the opinion of others. And so you've got to keep on putting yourself out there and, getting that feedback and learning from that sort of experience. So it is very spiritual because you've got to, connect with an audience, and that happens in a spiritual fashion rather than in a so yeah, it's pretty cool, pretty cool. And saying
It
that,
definitely
you
definitely taught me to be more kind and accept of other people's, what they say and either let it matter or choose to just keep on going and sharing aloha.
and you're at a perfect age really, because you won't know it now, but you'll probably have two or three. You'll probably think you're somewhere at the moment, and in 10 years you'll look back. We'll have another interview, and you'll say, "Where was I? I was nowhere considered where I am now." And 10 years later, and that's just the way
Oh,
it all
thank
works.
you.
If you so you're performing at the Session Surf Festival on the Gold Coast on the 23rd of May.
Yes, sir.
What are you looking forward to? What can the fans expect?
Big energy, big
Yeah.
energy, and a lot of aloha, man. That place, the Gold Coast, is like a second home to me. So many great, not even friends, so many brothers and sisters there. Australians and Australia has welcomed me, you know, 100%. And I wouldn't be where I am today or the person I am today without my Australian family and the experiences and the things that I've learned in Australia. So Australia is a really big part of my life, and I just look forward to going there and rocking out with everybody
Uh,
full
I'm
on.
I'm sure they'll embrace you fully. If you could perform with any music artist, alive or dead, who would you choose? Why?
Well, I like to keep it real and perform with somebody alive today because the dead one's probably not gonna happen. One day I will when I meet them up there. But I really like to do something with Jelly Roll. You
Uh-huh.
know, his story, what he's done, the way he's, dug himself from out of the grave like me and is in succeeding in life and the father he is, the husband he is, the message he has to share. I really appreciate that guy. And I watched him perform at the Grand Ole Opry. I think the first time he was there, well, I was with my friend Craig Morgan, who brought him on stage. And ever since that day, that guy's really inspired me. So anybody out there, one day, want to get together with Jelly and do something special.
That'll be pretty cool. That'll be pretty cool. Okay. What piece of advice would you give to people? I mean, you'd obviously one of the things that one of the hardest things you've got to do is get past your head, obviously. And once you're established as something and you see yourself as something and you're out somewhere and like you're talking about all the ego, making the crossover it's easy enough to talk about, like you can talk about all the discoveries and all that sort of stuff, but you still get attacked all the time because nothing ever changes from that perspective because you've got all that past that's a part of you. And every time something happens that someone disregards you when you are sort of at the top of the tree, you've got to work to keep on, mellowing that out. So, what advice would you give to people who are potentially making that major change and they've got to cross that bridge where they've got to, drop that ego and sort of say, I've just got to start again, and I've got to work hard, and I've got to reestablish myself in a different sort of environment, especially in music, because music, an audience is pretty critical. An audience that doesn't know you, they're pretty critical. They'll throw
Hmm.
stuff, they'll walk out, they'll do whatever. So it's not like they give you much time. You've really got to do something to win them over. So
Yeah.
what do
I
you
would
think?
say don't look for don't look for motivation. You're gonna be disappointed. You're gonna find ways out. You're gonna find ways to blame other people why you weren't motivated. I would say create dedication.
Yeah,
Dedicate yourself to something because once you dedicate yourself to something and you don't try, you do,
yeah,
the only thing you can get is results.
yeah, yeah.
People say there's no such thing as try, I say, because if you're
No,
doing something, you're doing it. You're not trying to do it. So don't try and look for motivation. Go and create dedication in your life. Dedicate yourself to something and it will motivate you beyond your
yeah.
wildest dreams.
I think that's a similar thing to what you've had. You've got to turn up no matter where you are. So if you're a muser, you've got to keep turning up. And one of the things that you're good at in the past is turning up. Turn up
Hmm.
next, next, next until you achieved whatever you achieved. So I'm sure that you'll do the same thing here. Let's finish with a series of some questions. They're a bit short and a bit sweet, so
Yep.
most people hate them. What's the craziest thing you've ever done?
I don't know if I can say the craziest
No, well,
thing
that's
ever.
it. Actually, a lot of artists, because I interview a lot of artists, and a lot of them are pretty. They've been around for 40 years and they've done the works, and they usually say, "Look, I'm not answering that if you don't mind," because in their head they've got something. But if
I've
they
done a
told
lot of
me,
crazy shit,
they,
just
they
put it
wouldn't
that way.
they wouldn't be able to tour. I could imagine. Well, okay, let's leave it at that because we can think about what the craziest thing is, and we can all have a different idea. What's the one topic you can talk about for hours?
Aloha.
What is aloha? When you say that, what do you mean by aloha?
Aloha to me is doing your part, taking care of your responsibilities in your life. I think the kindest thing you can do for somebody is to mind your own business and do what you're supposed to do, that you know you're supposed to do. When nobody, only you know what's going on when no one's looking. And should you
Service.
do things
Yeah,
the right way,
yeah, yeah,
everything should work out. And
yeah.
it really does help others around you when you do what you're
It
supposed to
certainly
do.
does. Certainly does. What's the thing you like most about yourself?
Ooh, the thing I like most about myself, I'm still trying to find that out, man.
Your biceps.
So I'm just 2 years fresh of finding out myself, but just my ability to learn, my ability to be open-minded and see things from another perspective, being able to listen to others' opinions and not react and really and take it in, and that's something I'm proud of myself is learning to be more kind.
The whole, in my view, the whole value process is understanding that nothing has all the value. So basically, you detach rather than attach. So
Mhm.
you don't think, you turn up, you serve because that's really what feeds. You get an outcome every time from service. And if you want a result, you get an outcome 5% of the time or 10% of the time. So it makes sense to serve. But you've got to understand that uh, from the everyday. It's like saying, you were world champ surfing. How many hours did you spend on the water? You know what I mean? It's like you spent years and years and years on the water, falling off, standing up, trying, trolling, losing, breaking arms, breaking legs, having all sorts of situations, and people will remember you because you're the world champ, or they remember you because they saw you once do this or once do that or whatever. And the whole book is worth reading, not just those a few pages. And
Yeah.
so that's what people need to understand, I think. Once we think about that from the whole book's perspective, everything we do has value. All right, we're going to finish off with favorites, all time or current, doesn't really matter. Favorite album.
Favorite album, brother, is
What's that?
Israel Kamaka Viva Ole, Facing Future.
Who is the artist?
Brother is, Wonderful World, Over the Rainbow. The big
Ah,
Hawaiian guy, you heard of him for sure.
yeah, 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 yeah. Favorite artist.
Favorite artist right now,
Musica.
Jelly Roll.
What's that?
Jelly Roll.
Jelly Roll. Favorite movie. 51st
Favorite
Dates.
movie.
51st Dates.
No, I would
What
have
was
to say Godfather.
Haha, The Godfather.
Chopper Reed.
One or two Chopper. Chopper. Chopper he was a pretty amazing guy. I lived through that whole process. Favorite place to visit?
Australia.
Australia, especially when you're coming down here. Favorite venue to play?
Ooh,
Have you
favorite
played a
venue to
lot?
play.
Have you played a lot of live music?
I played a lot of live music lately. Yeah, I've been touring a bunch. I've been touring all over. And whew, I love playing everywhere. I don't have one special certain venue. I
So
just
the
love it's all
stage.
different.
The
I just
stage.
love the stage,
That's
yes.
enough. Favorite food?
Uh Raw fish.
Raw fish. Really? It's not
Yeah.
raw. You must cook it.
No, raw fish.
So
Sashimi.
you just catch it. Oh, so how would you catch? Obviously you've got an
Catch
experience,
a big tuna, you got a big tuna,
right?
then you skin it, you cut
Right?
it into chunks, and you slice it up nicely, and you dip in a little bit of soy sauce and you eat it.
Really? Wow. There you
Yep.
go. There you go. I've never done that myself. I've always been a bit seafood scared because everywhere you go, it doesn't necessarily have the greatest, hygienic sort of storage sort of processes. And, if you've been sick in your life, it's probably been as a result of a bad muscle or something like that. Favorite drink?
Water.
Water, the best drink. And you can see that in your skin, man. You've got beautiful skin
Oh,
for
thank
41.
you.
Favorite person in history, apart from me?
Favorite person in history?
Yeah, someone that you may talk about, or someone that you look up to, or someone that you refer to, or it's like, someone that's in your case, I could imagine it's probably someone in your culture over there that's come before, a grandmother or a father or a
Yeah, I was gonna say either my grandma or my dad.
yeah. It's a when you think about when I think about Hawaii, I think about that. I think about the fact that it's tribal and it's um, authentic and honest, and you can't really they don't
Pops has
suffer.
definitely taught me what to do and what not to do.
They don't suffer fools. They don't suffer fools. If you're going to
Yep.
be foolish, they'll slap you around. They don't put up with it. So it must be hard to be a drug addict when you're a part of all those families because they
Oh, trust me, I was there. I was
yeah,
I was that guy once upon a time. I lost my way and I had to pull myself out of that, man.
I could imagine that your tribe weren't happy.
Oh, absolutely not. I had to hide.
Had to hide for that period. And last question, tattoo. Do you have a tattoo?
Absolutely not.
No, clean skin.
I have a lot of tattoos from the reef, getting shredded up from the
Uh,
reef over the years, but
well,
that's the only tattoos I got.
so you got a lot of body scars?
Oh yeah.
Show us your favorite.
My favorite will probably be my shin right here. Look at these holes. I don't know if you
Oh
can
my
see this,
goodness.
but you see
Uh,
those holes right there?
so you're still surfing. I presume
Huh?
you still surf.
Oh yes, I still surf. I compete in select big wave events, the Eddie Aikau, certain events like that, the backdoor shootout at Pipeline. So yeah, I definitely still keep my name in the hat. I'm still qualified as should they run the big wave world tour again. Last time they ran it, I come fourth or fifth in the world. So
I
I'm
can't help
um I'm
I
still
can't
right
help but
there.
think the marketer in me. We live in the influence age, and I can't help but think that you should start some sort of if you haven't already, some sort of a podcast or something around the surfing because you'll be recognised for that, and make a
Mhm.
bridge to the music because a lot of people do that with acting or they do it with they're great actors and they use their music or look at Jack Black and all that sort of stuff or so I think there'd be a real potential because you've obviously got a story to tell, and a lot of people can get into the music and into the surfing, and there isn't anyone that's not into music. So they'd make that bridge, probably better than trying to come from the music and have the. They'd probably accept you as a surfer and come to the music rather than try and accept you as a muso having a head thought about you
That's
being a surfer, in my view.
that's what
You know,
I've been telling people the music comes first right now. The music gives me that platform, the rest follows. So now that I've found that sound, I've written the songs, we're done recording the album. It's out there. There's a lot of great things in the work. And I only come good 2 years ago. Like I said, after that accident, I had to change my life. So there's a lot of good things in
good stuff. I
the
look
works.
forward
And
to it.
this is just one of them. And I appreciate your time
No
and
problem,
giving me
man. I appreciate yours, and we're going to be around here. So as you uncover and discover, give us a yell, and we'll put some light on it.
I appreciate you, brother. Cheers, mate.
All the best. You be well. Have a good tour, or not tour. Have a good show when you come on down in May.
I appreciate you. Take care.
See you later. Bye bye.